turn our attention to the financial ruin of the majority of South Africa's municipalities. That's the state they find themselves in. According to the Auditor-General, Tsakani Maloleke, who on Tuesday painted a very bleak picture of local government finances. The country's municipalities incurring up to 26 billion rand in irregular expenditure between 2019 and 2020. Let's unpack this then. Let's unpack the numbers with Municipal IQ Economist Karen Heese. Karen, good morning to you. I apologize for you hanging on a little bit while we were watching people get injected with the vaccine. I appreciate you staying with us. 26 billion rand. It's a staggering number, and I mean, I don't want to downplay this. When you and I talk about this, it's easy to throw out 26 billion rand. That's an incredible amount of money that's just seemingly gone missing.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. And there's nothing I'd rather wait for than people and teachers being vaccinated. 26 billion rand. The tragedy is not just the quantum of it, but that often this takes place in our poorest municipalities, where there isn't revenue being raised, and that money is transferred from the fiscus, which, as we know, is under strain. And really, it needs to go to crucially important things like basic services, water provision. And really what we've seen is just a lack of accountability. So I think, the focus is on numbers and finances, but behind that, and what the Auditor-General made very clear, is the issue of governance and accountability, and that there really isn't a system in which there are consequences for money not being accounted for.
So what do we do with this information now, Karen, as you take a look at the numbers on this? I mean, we're talking about 15 municipalities, 14 had qualified audits in your reports and findings as well. It would be easy to say it's one municipality where things are falling over. Let's swoop in there. Let's find out what's going on, hold those accountable for where the money is going. But it seems there's a lot of municipalities that are getting this wrong a lot of the time.
I think there are a number of things that need to take place. So we do have a few provinces, Western Cape, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Main, where the situation isn't that dire. So I think we really need to hone in on the provinces, or the provinces themselves need to hone in on municipalities in the Northwest and the Eastern Cape, the Free State, in these really dark holes of accountability. And there needs to be a lot of work that takes place, a lot of oversight and intervention on that level. So that's the one thing, because we do see concentrations and clusters of these very poor outcomes. And we need to ask questions in the Free State, for instance, why the largest municipality, the Metro, they didn't submit their financial statements in time. So there needs to be action on the provincial level, but then there needs to be a process of political accountability, not just at the polls where we can express our dissatisfaction in October, but within party structures. I think it's the end of the political term. It's not that there's a new set of political leaders. These are people who sat in council for almost a full term and have allowed this to take place under their watch. So we need to say, are these councillor candidates that should be suitable for the next term? Have they acted responsibly? Have they focused adequately on municipalities and their functioning, or have they been playing larger political games and fighting battles that actually don't have any bearing on service delivery on the ground?
Is there any mechanism in place, Karen, to recover this kind of money that we're talking when it comes to irregular expenditure? Is there any way to pull that back into their budgets?
There is, and it's recently introduced, the Public Audit Act. So the Auditor-General in the past was unable to do very much. It was a very difficult job. They would scrutinize municipal accounts to the extent that they could find them, and then they would make findings and really leave the process up to the municipality to take it forward, which is what we've seen has failed. Bearing in mind that this hasn't happened, it was introduced that there could be criminal charges laid. So the Auditor-General really has quite considerable means to incentivize a collection of that funding. So hopefully we will see some of those cases starting to roll out. The powers have been there for about a year or so. And with that action, not only could we hopefully see some of the money being claimed back, unfortunately I think some of it may be lost, but we can also see a change in incentives for accounting officers to really think quite carefully before they sign off, for instance, on PPE that's been overpriced.
Karen, for the moment, I'm going to say thank you very much. A staggering amount of money. At least there seems to be some way of recovering at least some of this money that can get used for what it's meant to. It's always a pleasure, Karen Heese, joining us here on eNCA, Municipal IQ Economist.